All right, how's it going there, folks? Welcome back here to a weekend. It's a Saturday, May 11th, 2024, about 11:15 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D Globe shows a 1.4 earthquake there into Southern California. We'll take a look at this earthquake activity here in just a little bit. A lot of folks wondering what's going on here tonight with the auroras. Do we have a second shot? Well, it's looking possible here. They are forecasting the range of KP index of about an 8. Last night was a 9. Very intense solar storm. Auroras down to like Puerto Rico area. I think even Hawaii seen some auroras. So that was quite an event, a once in a lifetime event, I feel. If we happen to get a second chance of that, which may be tonight, I would get out there and see if you guys could see it. A lot of folks went to bed early, missed out on the big show. Here's the latest forecast here from the Space Weather Prediction Center. Now notice, looks very similar to last night in terms of the view line location and the intensity, which is a KP index of 8. Here's tomorrow night, so Saturday night, Sunday night. It does look like it's going to remain unsettled here over the next couple days, couple nights here in terms of the continued elevated KP index here that makes this aurora activity possible. I mean, look at this. We're just continuing to stay up and elevated across all the charts in terms of the amount of wind speed, the plasma density. Everything is still purple on this end, indicating that there's still an ongoing strong solar storm. And there's a couple different things to watch here compared to last night and tonight. Obviously, we still got a lot of activity entering into the atmosphere, and the Earth being bombarded by this large plasma cloud. Multiple CMEs have been shot out from the sun towards us, and that's basically why we're seeing this elevated space weather activity. The current aurora forecast, at least a 30-minute forecast here, a little bit of dimming going on here. Not quite as bright as what we've seen last night, and I'll explain exactly why that is. This is a real-time solar wind stream. Let me make sure I got this updated. Double check that we're still live, still streaming. Like I say, I don't know what happened about 10 o'clock this morning, though. Things went down. Space Weather Prediction Center seems to be offline as well. It's possible we could see this all weekend. Little issues with internet connectivity and whatnot, because I've been having some issues here. Not necessarily, aside from my stream going down, but it seems like some of these websites I visit are having some issues. I really wanted to check the real-time solar wind stream, so we'll have to look at that in a second. Yeah, because that's not working right now. Is this one working? This one's working just fine. Let me see if Kevin pulled up a little map on it. Okay, here's an older one. This just shows when the CME kicked up, but this will give a good explanation as to what I'm trying to state. Now, when the CME activity hits us, this is going to be the BT-BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field. What we want to look for maximum potential of auroras is going to be this BZ component tilting south of the interplanetary magnetic field. That allows a lot more solar wind stream to flow in and amplify the conditions like we've seen last night. I was out last night early, right after dark, and we could see the auroras pretty nice just outside of Chico, California, and we stood out there for about an hour or so watching it. Then we came back home. Around that time, the BZ component had shifted a little bit to the north, so it looked like things were dimming a little bit in terms of the intensity. A little bit of time after being at home, I walked back outside, and the sky was pink and beautiful, just almost overhead. So that told me right there that the BZ component opened back up, and it provided quite a show. I've seen these awesome pink pillars, green out on the northern area behind that, and that's what we want to look for, is a BZ component open like this and shifting south. Now, when I checked it earlier, this site was working. I shouldn't have refreshed it. That's what I get for refreshing it, but it was more stationary in terms of almost a northward tilt, and that would suppress the aurora activity. But this is the older chart right here. Let me see if I can get this keyed back up here. Real-time solar wind. Is there anyone else that provides that? Let's see, spaceweather.com or spaceweatherlive.com. Let me see where the real-time. These guys are just cluttered with stuff. This is the one I want, but it's not working. And I'm not for sure why. Well, this magnetic field, here's the density. This is somewhat of the real-time solar wind stream. .511, but it's not specifically what I want. Either way, as I just mentioned, that BZ component had shifted a little bit north. So we're going to have to watch that. It could open back up and allow the solar wind stream to flow in, hopefully tonight, and potentially creating a similar event to what we've seen last night. I'll check this before I end this video. But again, here's the V line for tonight. Estimated range here at about a KP index of 8. Last night was a 9. Quite the intense storm. We could see something very similar tonight, similar to what we had seen last night there, should things work right. But goodness, we're having still having some issues out here. And it's only the space weather sites. I wonder why. Probably because there's a lot of interest right now in it. So we'll watch for this. It almost looks like they just upgraded this to 9. Let's see, this was created today. Either way, that's still running super slow. It's probably because of all the activity going on here with the space weather, or just a large amount of population visiting these space weather sites here. But goodness, what is going on here? That's crazy. All right, so things are still elevated, right? So we'll watch that BZ component, see what happens later tonight. We've got numerous large flares overnight as well, with another X flare that coming off of that far side sunspot here, which is 3664, and everything's just a little in slow mode here today. And I know it's not me because the stream is running good. Certain sites are working good. It's just the space weather ones. Crazy. I'm just going to periodically check these and make sure that things are working right. Let me show you some of my photos that I took last night, just a couple. I got an overwhelming amount of space weather photos last night and this morning, and I appreciate every single one of them. It's just going to take me a little while to go through them and create a short clip. I may even do just a short video of all of the clips together. But this is what I seen when the BZ component opened up and allowed that solar wind stream to amplify. And this was just right in my backyard. I have neighbors, they got lights, and some light pollution. But this is still what I seen out here. It was actually an awesome view to see these pillars. You can almost see these waves coming in on video if you were to take your phone and look at the video. This is a 3-second exposure, but literally you didn't have to do any type of long duration to see these lights in the sky. It was pretty incredible. And again, thanks for sharing all your photos. I got to go through them all and create a little video of them all. I got pictures and videos from all over the world right now that I have to go through. But again, tonight could be a potential repeat, and it looks as though they have updated this once again to a KP index of 9, and that's similar to what we've seen. That's actually what we've seen last night. So second chance, maybe? Could be a second chance, once in a lifetime second chance. That makes sense, right? Should things play out as forecasted. done refreshed this a couple times. So yeah, they're keeping this at as a KP index of 9 once again tonight, folks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Current, let's see what the current aurora oval is. Still active, but we got a little ways to go before obviously it starts to get dark over here across the East Coast. And we'll watch this thing, see if it doesn't kick back up tonight. Don't miss it. Goodness. Once in a lifetime deal. If you missed it last night, try to get out here tonight, see what you can see. It helps to have dark skies. It's very possible we could see a repeat event tonight. Yeah, look at this. Still super duper slow. These guys are just overloaded on their website, I'm sure. We'll let that load, see what happens. And let's take a look at earthquake activity here real quick. See what we got. You know, the Earth has been bombarded with numerous proton events, numerous large X flares, multiple large CMEs. That is a almost seems like a once in a 20-year event, because our last superstorm like this was back in 2003, the Halloween events, Halloween solar storm. So, you know, this is a test of time, a test of data in regards to the relationship of earthquake activity being affected by space weather activity. We had a lot go on here in the last couple days. So what's going on with the earthquake activity? Well, I mean, you take a look here and tell me, is there anything major going on? No major quakes. The largest magnitude, in fact, here was just a 5.1 here around the Caspian Sea. This area sees earthquakes on occasion whenever, regardless if there's space weather activity or not. No elevated movement out here, folks. You know, it's still, well, we're almost 24 hours into the arrival of the CME. Let's watch the next 24 hours or so and see what happens. But right now, I'm really shocked. I was looking at this earlier, and I was expecting to see some larger event activity overnight. But none of the space weather activity has triggered anything that would lead me to believe space weather affects earthquakes and the uptick, so to speak, of them. And, you know, one may claim 30 days from now that, well, look, this is all because of the solar storm activity we had a month ago. But that doesn't work like that. You know, that's like saying, I don't know. I don't want to put comparisons out here, but hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. There's a window of opportunity, you know, that in any theory should make sense, right? If this is space weather related, if we're seeing large earthquake activity, it should happen immediately following the large event, not months and years down the road. That wouldn't make sense to say that. That's kind of stretching out the possibilities in an unrealistic way. So let's zoom in here. California, Southern California, seeing a handful of smaller quakes. Really nothing big going on here today, folks. Same for the Pacific Northwest. Let's put up 2.5 and above. See what we got. Looks like the latest one here is going to be a 2.6 in the Prattville area of California. That's up here by me, up around Lake Almanor. I'm down here around Chico area where we've seen the auroras. Seen Mount Shasta. Everywhere. Lake Tahoe was seeing the auroras last night. Southern California, you know, these were visible down to Puerto Rico levels and even Hawaii. So that's quite the solar storm. But earthquake activity right now, it's not impressive. It's not looking good for a theory, you know, when it comes to that relationship. So we got the 5.1, 4.4 in Iran. Looks like we had a couple fours there, but again, this is very typical. Any day can see earthquake activity out here. The last 30 days, you know, look, prior to all this activity, it was fairly quiet, right? So earthquake activity can happen on any given day in this area. No major uptick. Same for this area across the western areas of the Pacific Plate. We did see a 5.0 over here around Tonga, but again, this area around Tonga, one of the most active regions in the world. They see earthquakes on any given day of various magnitudes because that is a major subduction zone area right here. Their MM rate is over 240. This is just an average in this region, so it doesn't take years and years to build up strain. It can take months, well, maybe a year or so, to produce large earthquakes. Either way, this region does see a lot of earthquake activity on any given day, with or without the effects of space weather activity. But we'll continue to watch it. That's all we can do right now. We've compared events in the past, and we took a look at elevated earthquake activity following a large space weather event. And there's been times, not 100% times, but there's been times where we had seen larger earthquake activity take place almost immediately following a large space weather event, or just a day or two afterwards. That's why I'm leaving this open, the thought, the theory, for another 24 hours and see what happens. But look at this. What is going on there? Need to check the real-time solar wind stream. I know there's other ones we can check. Hold on a second here. I'm just not fond of... let's go to spaceweather.com and see what we got. Yeah, look at that. Auroras in Florida and Puerto Rico. Big Pine Key at latitude 24.7. Down in Florida, that is Florida Keys. That's absolutely crazy, huh? Goodness. So it looks like the last event was 1859, that Carrington event, and 1921. As I mentioned last night, that you guys are witnessing a historic space weather event here. Doesn't happen all that often. Here's a proton event. This is from that X 5.8 that popped off yesterday during all of this activity. Those are charged protons flying around and headed in the Earth direction. That should amplify the proton event that's currently ongoing right now across the planet. Yep, I already see it there. Looks like it had already arrived. These are the polar regions getting affected and bombarded with the charged protons. They get here pretty quickly. And flaring activity is going to be here centered around the sun, sun-facing side of the Earth. There we go. Centered over North America, it looks like. Currently flaring with a C6.3. Real-time solar wind stream here. Where are we? Interplanetary magnetic field. See, this is quite... That's not what we want. We want it a little bit less than... a lot less than that as far as the BZ component. Let me see if we can get this here. This is the one I was just trying, but it's offline. Oh, there we go. This one's working now. All right, so we got it. I'm not going to refresh it for now. Here's the BZ component. Look at that red line. When things start to perform like this, that means everything's stabilizing. The auroras are going to be suppressed. It's starting to tip to the north. We don't want that. If we're going to see activity stir up tonight, we need to have this more to the south here. During last night, the peak of it was roughly about here, almost negative 50. And that provided the auroras to come down to these super low latitudes. But right now, this is pretty tight. It's in the north side here of the line, and that's not good news. We're still elevated here with the speed. In fact, it looks like the speed has enhanced a little over the last couple hours, almost at 900 km per second. Overnight, when the auroras were kicking up, it was roughly around 800 or so, but it looks like we've seen a little jump here in the speed. Unfortunately, with things staying north like this on this line, the BZ component, that's going to be a suppressor. Temperature somewhat elevated still, density bouncing up and down. So if we can get this to tip south, open up a little bit, that will allow some possible G5 storming conditions to kick back up again. And that's what they are forecasting here. That's what they're showing. Let's go back here and see if I can access that, their previous model. I feel like I'm on dial-up or something, but it's not me. It's not me, because every other site works except for the space weather sites. Goodness. All right. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at some conditions on the sun. The culprit of all this activity will go down in the record books, I'm sure. 3664, super complex sunspot. That is from last night. I want to see what it looks like tonight, but even solarham.com is having some issues here with their data. So you look at that right here. Look at that speed. It's really jumped up May 11th, but more so in the last couple hours. So hopefully we can get things to open up a little bit and allow the solar wind stream to flow in. It's just everything's offline or having some issues, overloaded with traffic, or has to do with what's going on with the space weather activity. So I'll have to check back on that. But the last night's image right here, or is this right here? Okay, it just looks like it loaded, the most recent one. 511, 1800. Yep, this is the latest image here. So still visible, still on the Earth-facing side of the sun. Super complex, still possible to see some further flaring. I mean, this thing produced the quite a few X flares, and also the second strongest X flare this solar cycle, that X 5.8 from yesterday, right in the middle of all this stuff. So yeah, a lot going on here, folks. But right now there is a thick line, not a thin line, but a very thick line between the space weather activity and any type of elevated earthquake movement. This is what we got. The data to compare the two, and right now is not looking good for that theory. We'll check it out here, though, over the next 24 hours. I'm not hoping for a big earthquake, but what I want to see is either elevated earthquake activity or a big earthquake to make a little bit more positive standpoint and add some truth to that theory that space weather affects earthquake activity, elevated earthquake activity. All right, let's see. So the detailed forecast here still looks quite unsettled over the next couple nights. And as I just showed you guys, a G or KP index up around 9, which is a G5 class storm, is forecasted for tonight once again. So get out there when you can after dark and see if you guys can spot the auroras once again. It helps, if you're on the southern edge here of the auroras, way down south, and say you can't really see it with your bare eyes. It helps to use like a 3-second exposure on your phone if you have it, and it really brings out those colors. You may not be able to see it above your head, but you'll see a lot of pink, a lot of red, and it's absolutely stunning. But last night when things opened up, we didn't really need that here in Northern California. Seen photos all over the place. I mean, social media is just, it's crazy with how many people got to see that. But I think that's an awesome thing for all of us to be outside staring up at the night sky and taking in this beautiful display of auroras that we're seeing, basically worldwide. And that just that thought itself is somewhat magical. A lot of people don't even really look up at the sky at all. And I think it's, very important to enjoy moments like this and to kind of soak it all in. So we'll see what happens here tonight, folks. Still an elevated threat there for X flare or proton events are coming in. There was another X flare this morning, the X 1.5. There's the X 5.8. These probably have some CMEs associated with it, but the position of the sunspot it may give us a little glancing blow there once that arrives. So, we're going to have some unsettled conditions here probably well into next week. Yeah, what a time to follow space weather, right? Because it's been pretty crazy. That's from North Carolina. Again, I got so many I have to go through, folks. I appreciate all the ones that were sent in, and I'll put together a little montage here. It's just going to take me a little while to go through them all, and I want to do it right. So once all is said and done, should be a nice little video of viewer aurora pictures. There's the suppression going on here. Not really intensifying, but we'll see what happens tonight. They're still forecasting it. Again, that BZ component needs to open up a little bit and point south. Let's see what else we have. I think that's about it, folks. I'm going to jump off here. Live stream is up and running. I got quite a few things I need to do on the personal side of things here. And I will be watching and monitoring the live stream here. And keeping an eye on space weather. Once we see things open back up here in the BZ component, I'll jump on and give a little quick update on that so the folks can get notified when things look like they may be optimal again. But let's see what happens tonight. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening, folks. Stay safe out there.